What is up, everybody? I'm Roman Comics and welcome to a new video. In the last two videos, I talked about chapters of my own comic, B10M, which featured villains like chapter 1 featured Rao, and the second chapter featured Annihilax. Plus, we covered some fun facts about the comic. And in this one, we're going to talk about chapter 3. So with that out of the way, let's begin. So first things first, I have to say that this has been the most complex and the most difficult chapter I've ever had. I had to incorporate new art styles, new brushes that I haven't used, and honestly, a new philosophical type of storyline that at some point it was a little bit difficult to explain, but then again, I tried to do the best I could to explain everything among the panels. While other chapters featured new villains, I decided to make chapter 3 all about Vilgax. Since essentially we had Ben's part of the story in part 1, and I wanted to show Vilgax's side of the story in part 3. It also features how Vilgax became so powerful and how he can compete now with the hero of heroes at his best. Aside from the cool battles, the effects, the aliens, and all of that, I wanted to show Ben's more complex emotions. Ben uses his hero work to basically cope with the fact that he didn't outright win the Omni War. We see this like right after we see how Vilgax survived and how he got his powers. I really wanted to show how broken Ben feels and what he thinks, because in chapter 1 we see that he drinks, that he's depressed, but I feel like I didn't make a good explanation there, even though it's obviously like explicitly out. And I wanted to show why Ben feels like he failed. And people may say that, oh, Ben wouldn't drink, Ben wouldn't be like that at all. We gotta remember that Ben is human, and he was at the top. He felt like he was the strongest hero, and the Omni War basically humbled him. And he still doesn't know how Kenny's doing. He obviously lost Kai, and that's a deep baggage he has, because he's the guy everyone looks up to, and he feels like a failure because he couldn't live up to those standards. For this next fact, I want to focus on Ben's romantic life. We know that Ben lost Kai, and that's part of the baggage he holds. But when Rook tells him that there are people who actually loved him, I wanted to focus on how Omniverse basically forced the Kai and Ben relationship because they're married in the future. He actually had some good relationships like the one he had with Esther. And in here, when Esther sees him in the hospital, when he's checking on Kenny, I wanted to keep the essence of that. They're both so close that they still love each other, even though Ben got married to someone else. And I wanted to keep the essence of both of them being so open, being so close, and having that romantic spark between them. And Esther messaged Ben during the Omni War, during every event, and she never really left. She just wanted what's best for Ben, and it actually leads to thinking that both of them are still in love with each other. For this next fact, I'm going to focus more on Vilgax. Since Cartoon Network made the original series, they haven't done a good job on showing how threatening Vilgax is. And in this chapter, I wanted to take what the original series did and make it bigger. If you notice in the background where the helpers, which are composed of Helen, Manny Armstrong, Alan, and Pierce, when they're looking for whatever possessed Ben or mind-controlled Ben, which they didn't know it was Vilgax. When they're looking, you'll see in the background that there are vegetation, there are trees and all, and when Vilgax shows up, those trees die. That's how menacing Vilgax is. And everyone is so scared of him actually coming back that everyone just rushes in to like get it over with and just annihilate Vilgax, utterly failing in the process. We see Gwen, we see the helpers, we see the new galactic enforcers, we see Ben even rushing in, we see Esther. Everyone just wanted to get it out of the way and just end Vilgax in their own way. But again, they all failed. I just want to get this fact out of the way. So in this next fact, there's this badass scene where Kenny just got beat by Vilgax again. And Gwen is saying, oh, like, let him go. Because this fight is between, like, us, the big guys and all. Like, leave Kenny out of this. And then Vilgax just says, oh, you want him? Come and get him. And there's a lot of things in that scene, like in that panel alone. There's Chainsaw Man, there's Hack and Slash from the Ink Tank. Well, not the Ink Tank, like 5 years later, the comic, which is owned by the Ink Tank. Well, you know what I mean. There's a PlayStation Man. Yes, I wanted to make a PS5 man, so I did it. There's the gigantic eye from Destiny, which right now I don't remember the name, but I know it's there. There's Cell. There's an Ectoneurite. There's a guy from, I think it's Blitzo from Hell of a Boss. And like, there's also this, the party guys from the back rooms. There's also Vecna, the Mind Flayer. Again, it's just a whole lot of like things because Vilgax has access to the Null Void and he just magically spawned these creatures. Also because I wanted to draw it. I don't get myself. I sometimes say I don't want to draw groups of people, and that's exactly what I end up doing. Apparently, I like suffering. In the last video, I said that I wanted to show the idea of Ben having to choose between being a hero or a god. This idea is further explained in this chapter, when Vilgax just destroys planet, I think it was Plum. Yeah, when Vilgax destroys planet Plum, oh wait, no, that's the planet from chapter 2. Anyway, when he destroys the planet that the Galactic Enforcers are in, and presumably kills Ultimos, he is thinking like, how can I damage Ben the most? What's the best way to take out a god? He says either his powers or break his soul, and eventually he comes to the idea that the best way to take out a god is taking away his image. This is the more philosophical part of the comic, since I wanted to show how some people depict religion and how image of like that religion can be damaged. For example, some people say that, God is all good, God is all powerful and all, just as an example, right? And when bad things happen, they blame it on God because they say, oh, he's all powerful, why did this happen to me? And other people say, oh, God is just there to benefit you. God is just there to make good things for you. And when good things don't happen, people are like, oh, it's God's fault because if he knew and he had the power to change this, why didn't he do this? That's what I wanted to show, that image in religion is important, but it's not everything. When Vilgax makes Ben go delusional, quote unquote, everybody starts blaming it on Ben. Like, he's the hero of heroes. Why is he acting this way? Is he going to be a threat to us? And you even see that his whole team switches from, oh, Ben, don't worry, it's not your fault, to, hey, I believe you, but I also don't believe you. And I wanted to make that parallel and show that, because then again, people want some sort of image of a religion or a prophet or a god. In this case, I believe in God, so I'm just gonna say, like, they just want to have an image of Jesus. And when that image is not like fulfilled, like, for example, when people say, oh, God wants to do good things for you, and when good things don't happen to you, then people start blaming on God and then turn their backs on him. And what they don't know is that the image that people show is not exactly what it actually is. Another fun fact I wanted to point out was that in other stories, like in the previous chapters, Ben didn't want to end the life of any of the villains. Well, except Annihilax. But that's a whole other concept. But with Vilgax, when he goes into Ultimate, and when he goes into Wreck-A-Mole, which is basically Ben's strongest alien, he outright says that Vilgax is the only guy that he will gladly kill. Implying that in this moment, you're not seeing Ben as a hero. You're seeing Ben as a god. And the whole concept of choosing between being a hero and a god is that a hero tries to save, inspire, and change everyone, including their villains. But a god chooses who lives and who dies. And in this case, Ben is choosing that Vilgax has to die. And a little fun Easter egg, after Wreck-A-Mole beats Vilgax into oblivion, seriously, like, Ben, you had him. You had him, like, why rip off his arms and beat him to a bloody pulp? Anyway, after Ben obliterates Vilgax with Wreck-A-Mole, you see that he's getting a suit thanks to the Omnitrix just to survive in space. We also see that the little grenades that he had as Ben 10,000 came back. And instead of imprisoning Vilgax in the Null Void, he used 3, so Vilgax wouldn't heal back and keep attacking. And these just seal him to get him to prison, and actually it will just put them in separate parts. Yeah, there's one cell for the arms, and then there's a cell for the rest of the body. And now for the post-credit scene, or the post-credit page. We see how Roman thinks. And this is a little bit more on the philosophy part, because in various religions or various beliefs is that our destiny is already preordained without like giving us any chance of changing it or forging our own path. Many religions and many beliefs think that a higher being has already written our stories. Roman says that he wants to be an opposite in the game and not a pawn. Being a pawn is basically being accepting to your fate. If you are going to die in a certain day, then you should just accept that. And that's the whole point of Roman. He doesn't accept his fate. He forges his fate. And he says he wants to be another player in the game of life, meaning he is going to be one of the high beings that chooses what to do with his life instead of letting destiny or somebody else choose for him. And Honestly, I believe that that is something that we can all take from this comic, that no matter what other people think that you're going to do or how you're going to end, you should always write your own path and do what you want to do. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you like this sort of content, please, again, like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. Please check out the comic and honestly share the videos and comment, as that helps a lot the channel. Till the next time, bye.